To start the shed, I came up with a design that I thought would work well, as you can see here in the left corner. And here I am marking out the location on the ground, and I'll be digging out any of the high spots to try to level it all out. And once it's all level, I'll lay out some of the 2x4s that I'm using. And these 2x4s are all treated. As you can see, they're kind of bluish green. I'm gonna mark them all to the same length, use a speed square, and cut them all down to size. Now I'm going to add the sides on to the base. And for this I'm going to use kind of a wedge formation. So this slope is going to become the ramp that goes up to the front doors. Now I'm just going to screw it all together. And I'm using all exterior screws here. I think these are 3-inch screws. Might be 2.5. And this piece of plywood is 3/4 inch. It is also pressure treated for exterior use, and this was the most expensive piece that I bought for this project. I think that alone cost about $80. See my dog having fun with the neighbor's dogs. Now I decided here to move the base out a little bit because it was kind of close to the AC unit. And I want some access behind there. So I moved it out far enough so that you can fit through if you squeeze by. And here I am leveling everything out using some wedges. Now this is measuring the back using 2x4s, and these are just regular construction 2x4s, and hammering them all together. I think I did 16 inches on center, if I'm not mistaken, and the entire width is 8 feet. Measuring it all out to make sure it's all the same height. Now the audio was terrible for this project.
All right, you ready to help? Huh? Want to help Daddy?
This is the first project I've done outside with my camera, and it picked up the wind like you wouldn't believe. You'll see in a few shots that you can definitely notice it. So that's something I need to be aware of for the future. I ordered a Rode cover to go on my microphone, and hopefully this helps out a little bit, but if not, I'm gonna have to figure something else out. But for most of this project, it's kind of just muted. These are 1/4 inch sheets of plywood, exterior grade plywood. And really you could use siding. They make 4x8 sheets of siding. That would probably be a little bit better, but I was just kind of in a hurry, and these were $15 each. So really wasn't that much money. And this is a temporary shed anyways. I'm only gonna be here until the end of this coming summer. So I'm gonna have to take it all down and move it. Here I am screwing it to the base, and then I also put some nails through as well. And making sure everything is nice and flush. These pieces will become the sidewalls, and the sidewalls have a slight taper to them. I think I did 6 inches difference, maybe 4. So I'm marking it on each 2x4, and I'm setting the angle on my circular saw, and I'm cutting the angle through each 2x4. And this will create a nice slope for the top. For the top, I just use some metal sheets. And this way, when snow comes down, it won't necessarily stick on top. But now that it's winter, I noticed that it definitely did stick on top. So probably not as much of a slope as I should have done, but it works. It's fine.
Bailey, good girl.
A little shot of Bailey enjoying the sun. Just hammering the studs into the sidewalls. And cutting the top. Once the first side is done, I can use it kind of as a template for the other side, and I can carry all the lines over, and it makes the cuts go much faster. If you can eliminate measuring, do it. And once the framing is done, I can take a sheet of 1/4 inch plywood over, transfer the slope onto it, trace that line out, and make the cut. So this 1/4 inch plywood, it goes flush up to the top, but it overhangs the bottom a little bit, and that way it overlaps the plywood at the base, so that if it rains, the water will just run down the sides to the ground and not enter into the end grain on the plywood. Which probably wouldn't have been a problem really anyways, but just to be safe and so it lasts for, a year or so. If this was going to be a permanent structure, definitely want to use 2x6s or 2x8s on the base here. But again, I'm using 2x4s because this is very temporary. I might just be throwing away most of this wood because I'm going to be moving out of state here at the end of summer, but it works. It definitely works. This is very strong. Now I'm just throwing together the framing on the other side. And those pieces have already been cut, pretty easy to go. And I'm putting little shims underneath to level it all out so that when I put the sheet of plywood on top of it, it works out pretty well. And I skipped ahead here and that other side's up, and now I'm going to be measuring the front, putting a piece of 2x4 on either edge. There's going to be a top plate 2x4 that goes right in the middle there. As you can see here, I think that I messed up in that there's some warpage in my walls, so I had to really struggle to get this over and finally get it to fit. All right, so I just remeasured. Apparently, I cut that top piece at the same distance that the width is on the bottom, but I didn't account for the two 2x4s. So that's why I was struggling so much. I was wondering why it was so hard. Yeah, gotta take that down and cut another piece. So yeah, definitely measure the area that you're going to be putting the piece and not a different area like I did there.
So much better.
So once that's out of the way, now I can put some center 2x4s for the doors. I'm kind of just sistering two together here. I'm centering it out on the base and toenailing it to the floor. Now here, there's a weird angle, so I decided to cut a piece of 2x4 at the angle to match it. And this is gonna make a nice flush surface for the roofing to go in, and you'll see what I mean. I just didn't want that wide gap to be in the back there. Those are the two end pieces, and now I'm going to be cutting the long strip to fill in the very back. And on top of this is where I'm going to put the little insulation strips that go for the roofing. Here's a shot of how it looks. So you can see how those 2x4s have a nice angle going from the front to the back for the roofing to sit on. Now I probably could have put this insulation stripping on before I put the roofing up there, but I've never done this before, so I kind of wanted to see how it would sit if I needed to make adjustments, and then put the insulation on underneath it. And then on top of that, you put in some weathering screws, the screws that have a little rubber washer underneath them. Put a bunch of those in there, and you can see how it kind of sucks the roof down. Now the reason that I have it sloping towards the front is because I didn't want everything that I have sloping into my neighbor's yard. I'd rather just go into my yard. It's going to be my business to clean up, so she doesn't have to worry about that. Here I'm using that strip of 1/4 inch plywood that I cut off of the sides, and I'm transferring that angle onto some trim here. My buddy Sam came over to inspect what I was doing. It's kind of the foreman of the job, and he approved and he helped out for a little bit. Once all the trim's done, I can throw on a little paint, and this is some basic primer paint. And I'm going to stop the video there. In the next video, I'm going to be going over the doors because I think this video is long enough. So I'll see you all then. Have a great day.